We are now recording. Where guests are coming in. We're over 50 people and moving towards 100, I'm sure, really quickly. So we'll give a moment for everyone to join us. Welcome to the RE/MAX Realtron Public Forum. The reason we do this is to make sure our clients are well informed and understanding exactly what's happening in the market, get beyond the headlines that they read, and make sure that they understand, that you understand what we know and how to make great decisions in real estate, because that's going to help your buying and selling decisions. Thank you very much to our agents and our partners who have invited you here today and have allowed you to hear this valuable information. So kudos to all the agents participating, involved, and listening in on the call now. I am Jeremy Pilarski. I'm the Vice President of Agent Experience at RE/MAX Realtron. I'm joined by Alex Pilarski, RE/MAX Realtron co-founder, president, and broker of record, and Cam Forbes, RE/MAX Realtron GM.
Hi, everybody.
We're excited to have a pretty informal discussion. We invite your questions. We'll answer all your questions at the end. I'm going to go through and ask these fine gentlemen a few questions because they know tons about the market. They've been around for not that long.
Don't say that.
You just got your real estate license last year, Alex?
November 7th is going to be 49 years.
Wow.
And it was yesterday.
Yeah. So you've seen markets come and go. You've seen bull markets, bear markets, everything in between, and you'll really help us guide us through exactly what's happening now and understanding sort of historically where we are.
Certainly.
So that's
I will do my best.
And Cam Forbes, RE/MAX Realtron GM, no stranger to real estate yourself. When did you get your license, Cam?
Yeah, started in the industry in 1989.
Okay, great. And you've, again, started an interesting time to start. That was sort of the peak of the market, probably a lot of people getting their license and a lot of people who regretted getting it shortly after there when the market crashed in 89 and 90. So, so we have a ton of experience with you. I'm Jeremy Pilarski, as I mentioned. I got my real estate license, for those interested, in 2001. Also a time where not too many people got their real estate license, so it was an interesting time. And I've seen mostly good times, but a couple downturns for a few weeks in 2008 and the 2017 sort of crash in certain areas. But really, you know, we've been, for almost 20 years, we've been in an up market. It's been a great time to be an owner, to be an investor, to be someone involved in real estate, if you've been able to take advantage of the market. So let's get started. Let's start with what the headlines are. Gentlemen, the headlines are strong. People are talking about how great the real estate market is. Everyone has a neighbor who sold for 300,000, 500,000, $1 million over asking. We're hearing crazy stories. What is underlying the strength of the market, and is it as good as the headlines show?
Want to go, Alex? Or
yeah, in a nutshell, yes. The biggest challenges we face is lack of inventory. As you're saying, Jeremy, the housing market is very, very strong. I think the driving force, one of the driving forces, is mortgages. And Cam, you and I have talked about this in the past, how in 1981, 82, the mortgage rates were 21, 22%. I bought my first house in 1985 and I was able to get a 10% mortgage. And I literally fell on the ground and kissed it, that it was such a good rate. And today's rates are totally ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. It's free money, Cam.
Yeah, back up the truck.
Yeah. And the advantage, of course, Jeremy, with these low interest rates is that you can pay off your principal much, much faster, which is a huge benefit. Back in the day, 15 years ago, before mortgage rates started falling, a lot of your monthly payments went to paying off the interest. Now, a lot of your payments are going off to pay the principal, which means you can pay off the house much, much faster. So I don't see any changes in either one of those factors. Cam, your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. So overriding theme is definitely, as Alex says, there's a supply shortage in the GTA. There's not enough homes available for sale, either new construction homes and the resale market too. Interest rates, and the slide you had up there, Jeremy, about interest rates, it's really unheard of, the interest rates you can get, as Alex refers to. He got his first home. I got my first home in 1991, and I locked in a 5-year rate at, it was either 10 3/4 or 11.25. I can't recall which it was, but I too, like Alex, thought that was the best rate that I'd get, and I'd better lock it in before rates went up. So things are completely different. And one of the great advantages that Alex refers to in the housing market, if you're an owner, is that, yes, you are in really a forced saving program. And right now, because interest rates are so low, the amount of interest you're paying on your monthly or biweekly or weekly mortgage payment is a much smaller percentage than it is when interest rates are higher. So you're paying yourself more. So a huge return, a huge saving plan for your retirement, and a great way to build wealth for your family. And of course, have a wonderful home to live in.
Absolutely. Jeremy, can you pull up those headlines again? I was just scanning them.
Yeah.
And I think one of the key things that I noticed that you've put up there is the fact that 57% of Canadian employers planning return to the office. Canada's economy will return in full swing. And I think one of the things that's driving the real estate market as well is the confidence in the future, the confidence in the market, the confidence in the economy. And all of that just means that people are doing their best to buy a house at whatever rate they can, because they know the future will be better. So I think that the economic trends are very, very strong, and that influences the market as well.
And, you know, just picking up on that, Alex, there's two things that create demand for housing. One is the really called household formation, or the population growth, really. And the GTA, many of you are aware, but may not know the magnitude of it. But, you know, just the sheer number of immigrants we have settling in the GTA each year is huge. It's been traditionally, 120 to 150,000 of the new immigrants coming to Canada settling in the GTA. So we're adding, an Oshawa every year to the GTA, and those people have to be housed. And they generally, even if you look at 2 to 3 people per household, you're looking at, 50, 60,000 units that you need just to meet that demand. And we're only building about 35, 40,000 units a year. And that's been consistent for, well, Alex, probably over 10 years now. So there's a significant
20 years.
20, yeah, there's a significant gap in terms of, the ability to supply the demand in the marketplace. And then secondly, of course, is really employment. Can people pay a mortgage, right? So first is household formation, which really covers demand over the long term. And secondly is do they have a job and do they have income? And of course, the pandemic had a bit of a wrench in some people's lives, but because of vaccinations and things, the GTA economy is expanding, it's growing, people are returning to the office. And as those headlines say, 2022 will just continue that theme.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting. Everybody always mentions immigration. And as you just did, Cam, it's very important. But, no but, and
in addition,
there's another 30 to 40,000 unregistered immigrants or visitors who decide to stay in Canada. As well as Canadians moving from other provinces to Toronto, which is the center of business and the center of opportunity. So on paper, the legal, we're down 20, 30,000 units a year without even thinking about the rest of the people that come in. So this Absolutely. Is why we have such great shortages, because there's a huge demand on property to live and to rent. I mean, we were outraged 4 or 5 years ago when a basement apartment in New Market was $1,200. Now that apartment is $1,500 to $1,800 a month for a basement apartment, because of the demand, nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
And I think it's worth noting at this point, you know, we're talking about different factors affecting us right now. As soon as one bank brings their employees back in downtown and things start happening, there's already starting to be a shortage of rentals. How are we going to handle the excess demand of sort of, I hope to say the end of COVID, but at least the next phase of COVID where we're dealing with it and where people are back working in the office full time? You can already tell traffic is very busy on a morning commute. We're expecting thousands and thousands more workers to be downtown in their offices. How are we going to handle that?
Yeah, and you know,
with great suffering.
yeah. And a few things on this slide, right, Jeremy, that are important to note. So we talked about immigration. One of the things the pandemic had an influence on was, of course, foreign students here going to post-secondary education. Most have returned, many have returned because most post-secondary classes are now back in person. They're not virtual anymore. So we've got the return of that. We've got people starting to travel again. Of course, the US border is open to US citizens coming here to travel. So Airbnb is taking up rental units once again. And then, of course, just the population growth and people wanting to be downtown, right? They just want to be where the activity is, where things are happening, where theater is, restaurants are, all the things that they are longing to return to and starting to return to now. So it's these elements on this slide are all incredibly important to both downtown market, which some people may still think is slow. It's not. You know, rental is becoming very tight, as you mentioned, Jeremy, and prices of condominiums particularly are increasing at a much greater pace than they were over the last 6 months right now.
Absolutely. And, you know, there was a slight decrease in rental rates, probably about $200 a month when COVID started, because when COVID started, which was in 2019, a lot of people who had Airbnb units and were renting either to Airbnb or to foreign students decided to take those units off the market for the short-term rentals and went into, you know, year-long leases. So that created, in effect, a little bit of a surplus, which was to the benefit of the renters. And the average rent probably went down about $200 from $2,000, $2,200 to $1,800, you know, depending on the location, of course. Now that the foreign students are back and Airbnb is back, prices have gone up and over the previous rents before COVID. I know of people who are renting out their Airbnb condos for anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 a month for people who are coming in for a month or 2 months or 3 months on job opportunities or to see if they want to immigrate. So the rental rates and the short-term rates have really back in full force and almost better than they were before COVID. Stronger. The other factor too that is impacting demand and prices is the Generation Z, Gen Z. And Gen Zs are those kids, those people now, those young adults who are born from 1995 on. And so that means they're now in their 20s. They want to get out of their parents' basements. They want to go downtown where the action is. They are now gotten their first job, and chances are it's downtown. And they are, again, putting extra pressure, because these are Canadians who are living here, putting extra pressure on the supply. And that has really, really prevented, stabilizing of prices. The demand is so high. So all of these factors are there, and I think they're going to continue. I know they're going to continue the market trends of prices increasing.
So I agree with most of those things. I think it's very true. We're not in a silo though here, and we're not just listening to ourselves. We read all the headlines. And would you believe that CMHC, the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, is back at it again? When the pandemic started, they were talking about how the prices were already overheated and we were expecting a major correction, something like 18%. They were expecting prices to go down. And they have a new head of CMHC now, but I think they're telling the same story. As you can see from the headlines I pulled here, September 28th, the one on the left where Bernie Sanders is there, September 28, 2020, and September 28th, 2021. A year has gone by, the world has changed, but the headline is the same, that CMHC predicts prices to go down. Are we to believe that this is coming and they were wrong this time, but they're right this time? Or it's wrong last time, but right this time?
What do you think, Cam?
Yeah, well, fundamentally, as we've mentioned, there's strong demand for housing, which is related to people needing a place to live in the GTA. It's as simple as that. And so it's impossible to just get rid of that demand. Everybody has to live somewhere, and there's only so many people who can stay in basement apartments and that sort of thing. So no, their prediction is incorrect again. You know, the market is what it is. Prices have gone up because of significant demand. But again, the key theme is there's not enough supply, and you just can't crank the supply. You just can't tomorrow turn on a button that says here's more homes that are available for people to purchase. And so no, they're incorrect. You know, the pricing is going up. Absolutely, they're correct with that. It's going to continue to go up because we don't have enough supply and we have strong demand. But their prediction, of this overheated and downturn is simply not correct.
And there's one other factor as well, which is inflation. The municipalities are charging more for building permits. The plumbers are charging more. The cost of all labor has gone up. The cost of lumber went through the roof when COVID started. It's now been reduced a little bit, but it's still much higher than it was pre-COVID. So when you take into account that inflation is going to continue, then why would prices drop? Because it's going to cost more to build a house. As costs go up, things, inflation makes things go up. And, I look at their headline, overheated and overvalued. Tell somebody who just bought a house and they love, and they spend $1 million or $2 million or $500,000 on that house, that they love it, that the house they bought is overvalued. What makes value? What creates value? And value is what people appreciate and love. And we know that 75% of Canadians, 75% of all human beings want to own their own house. And the only way some people have been able to do it is to buy a downtown condominium because it's $600,000. Others have moved to Bradford or to Barrie or to Guelph because everybody wants their slice of Canada that they own themselves. So to them, that creates value. And I don't see that value changing. That value is only going to increase. And lastly, we don't live in a bubble, Jeremy, as you pointed out. Why not look at what has happened in New York, in Paris, in London, in any major city? And as demand goes up and as the city grows, so does value and cost. So yeah, I agree with you, Cam, as much as I'd like to disagree with you, but I can't see how these people can come up with a prediction like that.
And Cam, you have prepared a chart. You have an ongoing chart predicting prices for the future, and we've had to adjust this because maybe we've been too conservative, but just I put it up on the screen there. Tell everyone what we're looking at here.
For sure, yeah. So first off, your Realtron realtor can help you make the best decisions in this marketplace. So certainly always consult them about, buying or selling a home. They'll be able to direct you and take into consideration your particular needs best. But over the long run, this chart is fantastic to help everyone understand that the Toronto market has performed very well in the past. From 1973 through to 2020, the average compound annual growth rate of the price of homes in the GTA has gone up by 6.74% each year. And if you think about that versus, other types of investments, other things that we can invest in as Canadians, and also consider that if it's your principal residence, this is a capital tax gains free investment. That is an amazing return on the investment. And so we often are asked, and our agents are asked by you as the consumer, is now the right time to buy or sell? So this chart is great because what we do is we help to show you that it is a great time to buy or sell. And so we did two projections here. We wanted to be conservative, and sometimes I'm probably too conservative. We looked at the 6.74% historical growth rate, and we just projected it out. If there was a 5% growth rate, that's in red. And if there was a 3% growth rate, that's in green. And as you can see, the price of a home was about $1 million in 2020 on average. At a 5% growth rate in 34 years, roughly, you're going to be $5 million. So 5 times the value is what's going to happen just at a 5% growth rate, which is almost 2% less than what's historically happened in the GTA. And then if you look at just a 3% growth rate, right, and 3% is a very low rate. But even if you look at that, you're going from $1 million to $2.5 million over that period of time. So 2.5 times the value. It is a great time to own real estate in the GTA. If you're going to sell, you're going to be buying, it's a great time to do that. And if you're not in the market, it's a good time to buy, real estate in the GTA. So that's what this chart is for. And as you say, we need to look at it again because prices, of course, are well ahead of this, right, Alex? We're already into the 2022, 2023, 2024 sort of price range, right? So
and Cam, you've been very, very conservative here. And even with conservative numbers, you look at saying $5 million. Wow.
Yes.
Well, I started in 1972, November of 72. Prices, as you can see from the chart, were roughly $30,000 approximately. And if you had told me that today the average price would be over $1 million, I would have said you're crazy. And that's what happens. We just don't understand it. So, but over all of that time, the average rate of growth, including, Jeremy, in your own words, the market crash of the 90s, is 6.74%. And and I don't know if you guys have seen the most recent Treb Market Watch, which came out this morning. Prices from the start of the year are up 16.1%. 16.1%. So the CMHC prediction last year was prices would go down 18%. They're up 16%. So they're only out by, gosh, how many percent is that? They're out by 300%, Ken?
Well, 30%, right? Up to, yeah, exactly.
No, I know they're out of 13%.
Yeah, 30.
But in terms of a percentage of how far off they were, it wasn't just, it was just their prediction was way off. And just I was making fun of you about the market crash, Jer. But here's the reality. Look at that chart. Who wishes that they hadn't bought all of the houses they could in 1991 at the time of the crash? Because yes, there was a downturn, economic downturn that was various reasons, not important. But by 1995, the market had totally recovered. And we honestly had expected with COVID prices might drop because demand and people would be afraid and maybe people were holding off. But in fact, the opposite happened. People jumped into the market. And we have to remember that the majority of people that purchase plan on buying for 5 to 10 to 15 years. So within, even if there is a short economic downturn, prices recover because people have to live somewhere. And so I think we've been very conservative. And I think, Cam, in 35 years, you and I are going to meet and we're going to look at this and we're going to go, wow, were we wrong?
Yes.
And I look at that and I say, well, geez, when are my kids going to graduate university? And that's in the 2030s, I would assume sometime around then. And what are they going to do? They're not going to go get their first job and be able to buy a house. Is that normal? Is that sustainable? Well, if we lived in Manhattan, it would be the same thing. If we lived in Hong Kong, it would be the same thing. If we lived in France or Germany or any of these, multi-hundred-year-old cities, we'd be in the same position. And I think Toronto's going there.
Yeah. And I have to say, Jeremy, that every 5-10 years, people say the way you just said it, how will my kids ever be able to afford a house? Right? I heard it in 1972 and I'm hearing it today, and I've heard it all the way in between. Is what is the difference? Instead of your kids earning well, let's see, I was working in 1972 and I was getting 65 cents an hour after I got a raise for working really hard. So that's called inflation. Today, minimum wage is $15 an hour, and a lot of people are earning a lot more. So yeah, inflation takes care of it all. And the only thing that we're missing is inventory.
Yes. And I think the market watch that came out this morning really highlighted that. We basically have one house for every sale that's happening in a month. And I think it's really, we thought it was an unsustainably low amount of inventory that would fix itself early this year, summer this year, fall of this year, but it doesn't seem to be changing. It seems, Cam, is this the way we're going to go for the next year?
Yes. Yeah. So the most striking thing, you guys may have seen it in the news this morning, was the report on just the inventory homes available for sale. So there's 9,000 homes available, as you say, Jeremy, almost 1 month's supply only. That compares to 18,000 units last September 30. So it's down in half. So that's a really important statistic to understand, that there's half of the number of homes available for sale this time than there was last September at the exact same period of time. And no, there's no real change that's going to happen here. Hopefully there will be some more listings that come to the market, but again, it won't be enough to meet demand, because you just can't hit a trigger and build a whole bunch of homes, extra homes, over a short period of time. So what the response is, prices have to go up to balance the supply and the demand better.
And the only reason why we only had just over 9,000 sales is that there was nothing else to buy. So if we had 18,000 homes inventory, we probably would have had 11, 12,000 homes sold. Demand is very, very strong.
Yeah. And I think it's a constraint that may not be as intuitive as some of the others, right? That you actually, supply constraint actually restrains demand because it's just nothing to buy. And so that's a story. Absolutely, Alex.
Yeah.
Cam, what about the condo market? The condo market got hit hard at the beginning of COVID because a lot of people did move out of the city. A lot of Airbnbs went up for sale. It was a time in the condo market where it was a little more difficult to sell. We called the bottom of the condo market on a session like this sometime in October, November, and I think we were spot on. What's happened since?
Yes, absolutely, Jeremy. So sometimes people still have this incorrect understanding. And so this is really important. So at the start of the pandemic, again, there was a lot of things that caused there to be a slowness in particularly the 416 condo market, right? And that included no immigrants coming in, no foreign students, no Airbnb, people who could now work virtually, sometimes saying, oh, I can buy something outside of the city that I couldn't before. So a whole bunch of different things that caused prices prices to be flat and go down a little bit in the condo market, particularly in the 416. And that last fall rebounded, changed. And Alex and I, as you said, absolutely said, this is the opportunity to buy 416 condo because this is all going to change, and it's changing. And right now, if someone were to ask me, is it too late? I haven't bought a condo downtown either as a first-time buyer to purchase or as an investor, like a great opportunity to invest. It's not too late, because what's happening right now is prices are actually going up at a greater rate in condos now than they are in terms of detached in the 416. And the 905 condo market is incredibly strong too. It's a smaller market as an overall percentage, but it too is incredibly strong. And all the hubs like Scarborough and Mississauga and North York and Vaughan now and Humber along the lake in Etobicoke, all of those areas, very, very strong markets.
The other factor too, which we really haven't talked about, but what we talked about yesterday, Cam, you and I were talking about the Gardner closing, the traffic coming in from Mississauga, how the city is in a mess. I truly wonder how many people moved out to a smaller community, saying, "Oh yeah, the driving back in isn't going to be too bad," and then realizing that the traffic is a lot worse, and you know what, I should move closer to the city. So
Yeah.
country life isn't as good as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see some of that as well. And to your point as well, Jeremy, as employers say, hey, I want you into the office a little bit more often, I think we're going to see downtown properties, 416, increasing tremendously.
Yeah, I really do. And I think, again, we're days or weeks or a couple months away from all of a sudden, everyone being back to work. And when that happens, there's a smaller rental universe because more people have sold off their rental properties, mistakenly or correctly. But I think it's going to turn out in the long run to be a big mistake for those who sold off, and it's a good time to get in and buy.
Sure. So, one of the reasons why the 416 condos are going to keep going up in price is we talked about the Gen Zs, Generation Z. By the way, they represent 25% of the population. So if you look around and you see look at all these young people there, where are they from? Well, they're Gen Zs, and they are living downtown. They want to live downtown. And you know what? They may not, even if they want to live somewhere else, they can only afford 600,000 or 700,000 or 400,000, whatever the downtown condo is. And being a parent, I can imagine somebody with their kid living in the basement and playing loud music. You say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you a couple of $100,000 as a down payment.
I don't want you in my basement. Exactly.
Buy a condo. Now, we're laughing, but that's how a lot of us were able to buy our first house. Luckily that our parents were able to help.
Yeah.
But that is still continuing. And as much as somebody might want to own a beautiful house or a semi-detached home downtown, they're out of reach. So they have to buy what they can afford, and that means a condo. And that's why condo prices will continue to increase.
Yeah, I want to touch on one point that we talked about a little bit, but I just want to make it clear. One of the mistaken headlines over the last few months, as reporters are trying to find a different story or find the negativity in it or whatever they do, has been the story of a decreased number of sales year over year. So even though we were way ahead of last year at the beginning of the year, the last 4 or 5 months, we've actually had less sales than last year. So I just want to reiterate that point. Alex, just explain to us why sales are down this year relative to last year. I think it's an important point for people to understand.
You can't really, I've never, in all of the statistics I put forward, I never compare it to last year because first of all, last year was an anomaly. It was COVID, there were issues. The same way I didn't compare 2020 to 2019. To say that in April of last year, we had 4,000, not last year, in 2019, we had 4,000 sales instead of the normal 8,000, people are saying, oh my God, the house prices, very few houses are selling, only 4,000 homes are selling. You can't compare it to anomalies. It's almost like Michael Jordan having a game about 60 points, and the next night he only scores 40. And you go, oh, look, he's really getting old. He can't play basketball anymore. It's ridiculous. The truth of it is the market is very, very strong. First of all, over the last 3 months, what happened was people were tired of COVID. The government relaxed the restrictions, and people were taking time off, enjoying the summer. The weather changed, and a lot of people, I think, had gotten frustrated with the fact that they were in multiple offers and didn't get the house. So they took a breather from the market, which is normal every summer, by the way. And now, oh, I see you've got that chart up. As you can see, the brown line is 2021, this year's number of sales per month. And you can compare it with other years, more standard normal years. Of course, the blue line, the one at the very bottom, shows you the COVID line. We had COVID and prices dropped. We expected things to drop, but then they recovered as well, or the number of sales recovered. So the brown line is very, very typical of the number of sales that happen on an annual basis. Of course, the spring market was, again, an anomaly. So we're coming out of the summer market. We're heading into the fall market. And in November, the number of sales, in December, the number of sales will go down again from what they were before, simply because of the winter months. But all of this is held back by no inventory. Sorry, Cam.
Yeah, no problem. And the key thing is everyone has to compare apples to apples, right? So last year, the very simple is that we had 3 months because of COVID where demand was down, and that pent up demand was met in the fall. So last year there were actually 95,000 sales. It was up 8% from 2019, which a lot of people don't realize. And this year, Alex, you did a forecast, right? What we think 2021. So it was 95,000 last year, and this year 120,000, right? Is what we're saying, and that's 26% greater than last year. So really, you can't compare a month to month because you had a significant change in where the demand was last year. Slower in the first months of the pandemic and then huge in the fall. So when you compare to last fall, you're comparing to a number that is, making up for all of that pent up demand from earlier in the year. But this fall is going to be strong. It's going to be one of the best markets ever in the GTA. It'll probably be maybe the second, third best fall in the GTA. And again, the restraints that we were talking about are supply, and the reason there's not more, homes selling is there's not enough homes to purchase the supply.
So, Jeremy, rather than just looking at how the number of sales this month meaning September, is less than last year, September, what I looked at was the number of days on the market has dropped from 14 days to 12 days. So houses are selling faster. To me, that's a greater indicator of demand than anything else. So, coming back to Cam's point, demand is high. If we had more houses, we'd have more sales. But there's no question we're in a very, very strong seller's market.
Great. That was good. I just wanted that nuance, so that I appreciate that detail. So with all that, Cam, if you're a renter now, should you be jumping into the market?
Yeah. So if you are a renter and you have some stability in terms of where you want to live. So one of the reasons people rent, it's not just affordability, it's also because they want flexibility, right? They may not have a stable job. They may be moving around for different jobs across the province or across Canada, or frankly, internationally. But if you're not there, if you're starting to get more established, if you're going to be, living in a place and can be for, 3, 4, 5 years plus, then absolutely, you should not be on the sidelines as a first-time buyer and who is a renter right now. If you can, obviously get as high a down payment as you can. There is mortgage insurance to help you if you have a lower down payment, and certainly don't be shy to use that. It's a tool that is important for a lot of people to get their step into the housing market to become an owner. But there's two things, right? We talked about mortgage payments and how such a significant percentage is principal that you're paying yourself. So over the longer term, and the study you've got up here right now, over the longer term, it is a better thing to own than rent. Renting is more expensive, simple as that. You will come out better as a homeowner than a renter, and you will, as an owner, help to save for your retirement, for building wealth in your family.
There's a couple of other factors. Great point, Scan. Thank you. There's another factor. Let's be blunt. As you're at a certain point in time, when you retire, your income is going to start going down. Rents are going to keep going up. That's a horrible situation to be in. And the average Canadian who retires, their largest asset and their single most biggest asset is their home. And so we have examples of Canadians who retire and have to sell their home because they can't afford to live. So they use the equity in their home to rent and to buy food and the necessities of life. So if you're lucky enough to retire with one house, then at least you have something to sell to keep you going in your golden years. This is why we always talk about you should buy an investment property, because that investment property will provide you income so that you don't have to sell your home, but can at least maintain your home and have income from the investment property to sustain your lifestyle, or as close to your lifestyle as you can. So it's not a question of should you, it's a question of you have to fight and you have to do it. So I'm not saying this to create more business. I'm saying this is, we know what's going to happen. Look around. We have, next time you go to Tim Hortons or a restaurant, see how many older people are serving you. When you have a 70-something person serving you coffee at a coffee shop in the morning, it's not because they enjoy being on their feet all day. It's they have no choice. And it's a question of making hard decisions. Is it easy? No. Will there be challenges? Yes. But they are much easier to have those challenges now so that you don't have to pay for them later.
Great. I think great points. That wraps up really our formal part. All the questions that I had before. I'm getting some questions in from you, from people direct messaging me and different things. If you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A or the chat, and we'll be able to handle them. The questions I'm getting a lot of are questions like about process and how to do it, how to buy and sell properly in this market. So one of them, I'm trying to aggregate a few questions here, but basically, should you buy first, given that there's so little supply? Should you buy first, or should you risk selling, or how should you do that? Buy first or sell first?
Sure. Yeah, let me take that one. And so first off, it's really important to have a professional realtor helping you in any real estate market, but particularly the market we're in right now. So the first step in terms of this is contact your Realtron realtor and get them to help you. They've got the experience, the knowledge, the skills, the ability to help you make the best decisions in the housing market. So having said that, is it best to, sell first or buy, first? It's really dependent on your situation situation, but certainly in the GTA, most people are buying first and then they're selling second. But your RE/MAX Realtron agent can guide you through in terms of what's best for you and your family so that you can take the advantage of the opportunities and get the home that you need with minimum risk overall. And the key thing again is to make sure if you're buying and selling to do it at the same period of time, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to be timing the market or speculating. I've heard some people, right, who said last year, some people were saying this, that I should sell my house and then the prices are going to go down and then I'm going to speculate and buy when the prices are lower, right? And if you'd followed CMHC's 18% down, maybe you did that. And what a catastrophic thing, right? Because prices ended up going up by the same amount in the other direction. So not only are you out of the market, but now you're truly out of the market in terms of that. So the question of, buy first, sell first, deal with your professional realtor. There are ways to manage this and look after the needs of your family best and manage any sort of risk that you may perceive to be there.
And again, thanks, Cam. Good explanation. There's one other factor, and I just want to be careful how I say it. Not all people, not all industries, not all businesses are equal. So for example, you could say McDonald's is a restaurant and so is Morton's. They're both restaurants, but they're not at the same level. 85% of real estate agents only do 3 to 4 transactions a year. And so somebody who is not active in the market, who's not very active, they can say they are, cannot give you the same advice as somebody who is making a sale every once a month or twice a month or 5 times a month. Agents are different. The same way as if you were going to get a heart transplant, you want a surgeon who does heart transplants often, as opposed to one who does them, once every few months, because you get rusty. And so people, it's not that people don't know, you have to practice your craft. And if you take a look at basketball players or any professional athletes, they practice every single day, whether they have a game or not. So be careful with the agent that you choose. Make sure they're active. Make sure that they specialize in your area. Make sure that they're knowledgeable, and make sure they don't have another job on the side, because they can't do the same job as somebody who is in it and committed on a full-time basis. Sorry, I was trying to be tactful, but not all real estate agents and not all companies are equal.
Yeah, great. Good advice, Alex. Yeah.
On that, I have a question from Sonia, who basically says that she met with a realtor, not a RE/MAX Realtron realtor, and he wanted to list her house at $899. She thought her house was worth 1.2. And she didn't know, is he messing around? Is he trying to sell too low? I think he was going for a multiple offer situation. What should she do? And obviously you need some advice, and you need a realtor you trust. But just maybe I thought it was good to talk about multiple offer situations. There's been some news about open bidding and how that is going to change, and if that's changed. Cam, any thoughts on multiple offers and how to price your property properly?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first off, a professional realtor like a Realtron realtor will do what's called a comparative market analysis for you. They're going to figure out in this market at this point in time what your home should sell for in the market. And then they can make a recommendation on the strategy, price it at that level, price it below that level to encourage, more offers. Usually there is an advantage to pricing it at or lower than market, certainly not over the market by more than 5%. It's generally a great rule of thumb that if you're over by 5%, your home will sit, and that's the last thing you want. And even in this market, even though we've only got a month's worth of supply, Some homes don't sell because the realtor that's been chosen has chosen the wrong value, the wrong strategy. And then, of course, people start wondering what's wrong with the home. So it's a vicious cycle that can develop for something that's the wrong part is the realtor didn't set the price properly. So it's such a huge and important thing. And a professional realtor has the experience to properly do that for you and set the strategy and set it up so you get, more showings, more offers, and you'll sell the home for more money and for better terms for you and your family.
And that's where the company comes in as well, Cam, is different companies promote themselves better, market themselves better. At Remax, we get 2 million hits on our website every month. And it comes back to what you just said. If you have more buyers, then you can get more offers. If you have more offers, then you pick the offer price and terms that best suit your needs. And that's the job of a realtor, to present you with offers so you can choose the one that is best for you.
Absolutely.
Great.
But it comes down to confidence. You have to have confidence in the person and their company as well.
I've got a question from Sahil, who just bought a property from one of our agents. Great, congratulations. Should he lock in his mortgage or go variable? He's about to sign his mortgage documents, I guess.
Well, so let me just jump in here. So first off, your Remax Realtron agent has great partners to help you with your mortgage decisions. And so that's a fantastic question, right? Variable or lock in, you got all these options: 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, 10 year, you can even lock in for. So you need to talk, just like in real estate, you need to talk to a professional realtor, you need to talk to a professional mortgage person, and your Realtron agent will partner you up, will refer you to a great mortgage person so they can help you with that decision, because it is independence. For some people, it's better to be variable now, and for some people, it's better to be locked in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a simple, easy answer. Get it.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone's situation is different. I'm just going through the chat again here. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Anil says he believes that immigration, and he's an immigrant to Canada, but his question is, why don't we cut down on immigration temporarily until the housing market cools down a little bit? So basically slow the growth of the population so that real estate prices can catch up. I guess more development can happen and we can keep homes affordable. Is there a chance they'll do that?
Oh, and it would be a bad decision, frankly, by government. So there's two things that are problematic with that policy approach. First off, we can do something about supply, right? That's really what has to be solved, is supply. So governments, municipal, provincial, federal, have to get together and start being more flexible at the local level with bylaws, so the mid-market can develop. The basement apartments, the granny suites, the alleyway homes, the converting single family into multiple residential, and the continued, mid-rise and high-rise development that they're seeing, right, in a sustainable way that's good for the, the climate and overall the long term. So what is suggested, if we just stop, immigrants coming in, it'll reduce demand. It's the same thing the government's doing now. And the problem with that is we have a shortage of a labor force here. So there are hundreds and thousands of jobs right now that are wanting, particularly in service sectors, because restaurants, dry cleaners, everyone, coffee shops, Tim's, McDonald's, all of these places where many Canadians aren't working any longer. We need immigrants in those jobs, and it would actually create a huge problem not to have immigration into our country and for our economy overall. So neat thing. It's what governments sometimes do. They try to tackle it in the wrong way. They try to tackle it on demand when the problem is supply. So we need to focus on supply. That's the key solution to the current situation.
And it's really not that hard. Our building industry is very, very strong. The builders could ramp up their building overnight. The problem is it takes 3, 4, 5 years to get through the government red tape in order to get permits to build. It's outrageous. It's horrible. And that is a problem, is the government red tape. Not only they're now charging over $100,000 for a lot for building permits, but they're also taking 5 years to give you that permit. And it's just awful. Our system is broken.
Yeah,
but that's the problem.
I think it's a great point. I was at an event with not too long ago with a developer, and he said, you know, they're talking about supply issues with real estate. He could solve all of them if they just gave him his permits.
Yeah,
Tons of sites ready to go.
yeah.
Uh,
And like you said, the government usually goes the wrong way. They try to punish the buyers. Oh, you shouldn't buy, so we're going to not give you mortgages. We're going, you know, it's negative solutions rather than positive solutions.
okay, we've missed the federal go around, but next election, make sure everyone is in support of development. And it can be smart development, it can be environmentally friendly, and it can be helpful to people of all socioeconomic status. We're in favor of it. Jillian says, can you talk about including conditions like mortgage financing and home inspection? Geez, I think it's a tough market for home inspectors because so many deals are going firm right away. Can you include those conditions? Do you need them now? Is it possible to get a home inspection and a financing condition? Any advice?
Yeah, well, why don't I start with this one? So financing, the great thing about the Canadian mortgage market is you can get a commitment before you buy a home from a finance company. And so your Realtron realtor will refer you to an expert in the mortgage marketplace, and they can get you set up for a commitment for a mortgage before you buy. So you don't need to come in with a condition. And who's kidding who? You know, we're here to give you the best advice. Coming in with a condition in a market where you've got very few homes available for sale and lots of buyers, so you've got multiple offers, your offer won't be considered even if the price is higher. So that's a great way. There's no need to have a finance condition in an offer. Secondly, in terms of inspection, a great thing, and if you're working with your Remax Realtron realtor, and I'm sure they will recommend this for you, is to get it's called a seller's inspection. You get the inspection done beforehand, and it actually will get you a better price as a seller. So you pay for the inspection, the $500 for inspection. You have it available for all the buyers before they obviously can do their showings as well, but it covers the inspection, and you will actually get more certainty from those buyers. So they'll pay a higher price. It'll more than cover the $500 for an inspection. And again, your Realtron realtor has all of these neat things to help you compete and win in the marketplace, right? If you're selling a home or buying a home. So talk to them, but those types of conditions, great question. They don't necessarily have to be in an offer, so you can compete and win.
Absolutely. And this is where we spend our time on training our agents, helping our agents. There's no guarantee that by using a Remax Realtron agent, you're going to win in a multiple offer situation. But with the tips and the training and the support we give them, you'll have a much greater chance by using one of our professionals. There are systems to success, and that's what we teach.
Great. PD asks, what are our projections on interest rates? And also asks, would you recommend any particular area that's good to invest in for a rental property?
I think the interest rates are still here for quite a while. There's no indication that they're going to change. What do you think, Cam?
There'll be a slight uptick. So right now there's a bit of an uptick in bond rates for those who are watching that market. So there has been a major bank that's up there. They're locked in fixed mortgage rates a little bit right now. But again, it's important to have a historical perspective. And Alex and I, almost jokingly, but seriously, because we've got the history. I locked in at 10 3/4 or 11.25. What was your rate again, Alex?
10.
It was 10%, right? And so when I say it's gone up, so it's gone up from maybe a 1.8 5-year mortgage to a 2.1 5-year mortgage. So it's still incredibly great rates out there. So don't let that discourage you if that's what you might be thinking. Rates are not going anywhere in a huge material way anytime soon. And sorry, what was the second part of that, Jeremy? There was another piece.
Yeah. We also got a question from Veronica about where should she buy as a first-time buyer, and PD's asking where to buy as an investor.
Okay.
So there's some overlap there, but you know.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so, where should you buy? So a first-time buyer, what a fantastic question. And that's what a professional realtor will help you. So it's really about your needs, right? And your needs are different than other people's needs. And so your realtor will ask you questions and they'll get to know what you and your family's needs are for your home. And then they'll recommend areas that you may not be as familiar with to help you possibly get a better value and a higher rate of return over time. So that's where it starts. They'll ask you questions. They'll understand exactly what you need, what your thoughts are, and what you'd be most comfortable in for your family. And that's where you start. And there's great places to invest throughout the GTA, and there are better places for if you want to have a bargain, I'll call it, but maybe that's not the place that has the best school that you need for your kids, right? So it's really important, again, to just be open with your realtor, answer the questions, tell them exactly what's important to you. And regardless of anything else, the long-term forecast for real estate in the GTA is great. Prices are going up. So you can't really make a wrong decision. You can just make a right decision for your family.
But this is where the realtor makes a difference by analyzing, by being a consultant. Our agents, their job isn't to sell you a house or to, or to help you sell your house. Yes, but our job is to consult, to give you the right advice, to give you all of the information that you need to get answers to your questions so you can make the right decision for you. And what might be right for me might not be right for Jeremy, might not be right for Cam. And this is where the right realtor will take the time to be a proper consultant and help you achieve your goals.
Great. We got a question about pre-construction, which is about the same thing. Talk to your agent. Prices for pre-construction are certainly higher than resale. But if you can't buy now, or if you have to buy in later, if you're investing and want to put a down payment, pre-construction often makes sense regardless of the price. So I think, gentlemen, we're going to leave it at that. Great session. Thanks for the amazing information. I think, the message is clear. Real estate is going up. There are opportunities in the market, but you can't go in blindly. It's a difficult situation. It's a difficult time. You need a RE/MAX Realtron professional to guide you through it. Cam, I'm going to give you a second last word, and Alex, I'll give you the final word. Go ahead, Cam.
For sure. Well, first off, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thanks so much. I hope you found it helpful for you and your family in terms of making the best decisions and competing and winning, frankly, in this marketplace. Starts with a RE/MAX Realtron realtor. Call them, talk to them. They can link you with the mortgage. They can link you with the right place. They can link you with the right area for you to buy, and they can sell your home for more. So certainly talk to them. It's the supply. There's not enough supply. Prices are going up over the long term. So that is the market, and anything you see that tells you that we're in for a oversupply, down of prices, and that sort of thing is simply incorrect. And again, thanks for joining us. Nice to have you, and always a pleasure.
Alex, I'll
let you
close it off.
Let me echo Cam's words. Thank you all for joining us. We hope we've been able to give you some information that helps you with your decisions. But life is all about knowing the right people. So we encourage you to speak to our realtors. They're trained. We have confidence in them, and we know they're going to look after you. And they're going to look after you as individuals, because everybody is different. We're optimistic about the future. The economy is strong. The interest rates are low. Demand is high. And I honestly do not see anything in the future that's going to put us back. So I think Toronto is a world-class city. The other factor which we didn't talk about is the fact that all of the immigrants and all of the investors who are buying in Canada are buying with US dollars, because that's what the world works on. So $1 million property for a foreign investor is only 750,000 US. And so our properties are still bargain price compared to the rest of the world. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll be happy to answer any more questions you may have. Please email us and we'll be happy to help. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.